Cut your coffee and you'll retire a millionaire. You've heard some version of that sentence. Maybe from a relative, maybe from a finance guy with a thumbnail of him pointing at a chart, maybe from a coworker who just discovered a spreadsheet and won't stop talking about it. Let's actually run the math on that because nobody ever does. A $5 coffee, 5 days a week, is about $1,300 a year. Invested for 40 years at 8%, that becomes roughly $350,000. Sounds impressive, until you remember that number assumes you never buy coffee again for 4 decades. Invest every single dollar you didn't spend and never once miss a contribution. Nobody does that. Nobody has ever done that. Here's the part that should actually annoy you. While you've been quietly guilted about a $5 coffee for the last decade, a genuinely bigger leak has been sitting in your bank statement the entire time, completely unbothered, because nobody's shaming you for it. This isn't a video telling you coffee is fine, spend whatever you want. It's a video about where the blame actually belongs. My name is Alex, and today on Wealth Adjacent, we're taking the latte factor behind the shed. Quick disclaimer, not financial advice, just numbers. Let's meet Nate. Late 20s, buys a coffee most mornings, feels vaguely guilty about it every single time because he's absorbed the same latte factor lecture as everyone else. Nate has never once felt guilty about his subscriptions. He couldn't actually list them all if you asked him right now. The latte factor idea has been around for decades now, popularized by a financial author who used it as a simple, catchy illustration of how small daily spending adds up. And as an illustration of compounding, it's not technically wrong. The problem is what happened to it after that. It escaped the book, got repeated by people who stripped out every caveat, and turned into a blanket moral judgment about anyone who buys a coffee, regardless of their actual financial situation, regardless of what else they might be doing right with their money. A single vivid, easy-to-picture purchase became shorthand for financial irresponsibility in general, which is a genuinely strange thing for a $5 drink to be carrying on its shoulders. Here's the number that should make you sit up. The average person estimates they spend around $80 a month on subscriptions. When people actually go line by line through their bank statement, the real number is closer to $220 a month. That's not a small miss. That's $140 a month, over $1,600 a year, that people are functionally unaware they're spending. On streaming services they forgot they signed up for, apps they tried once, a gym membership tied to a resolution from 3 years ago. Compare that to coffee. Nate's actual coffee habit costs him about $1,100 a year. His unknown subscription gap alone is bigger than his entire coffee budget, and he's never spent 1 second feeling guilty about it, because nobody ever put a thumbnail of himself pointing at a chart labeled subscriptions. Why does one get moralized and the other gets a free pass? Coffee is a visible, repeated, active decision. You stand in line, you tap your card, you feel it happen. A subscription is a single decision made once. Then it becomes invisible, quietly renewing in the background every month with zero additional effort or awareness required. Your brain notices the thing you do on purpose 40 times a year. It stops noticing the thing that happens automatically without you. This lines up with something researchers call the pain of paying, the small psychological friction you feel each time you consciously hand over money. Cash purchases produce the most friction. Tapping a card produces less. And a purely automatic recurring charge produces almost none at all, because you're not actually making a decision each time. The decision was made once, months, or years ago, and your brain has stopped flagging it as a choice ever since. Coffee re-triggers that friction daily. A subscription triggers it exactly once, on day one, and then goes completely quiet. There's a specific reason this is getting worse, not better. Free trials that convert into paid subscriptions the moment you forget to cancel. Apps that make cancellation buried 3 menus deep on purpose. Bundled services where you don't even remember which platform a specific charge belongs to. The entire subscription economy is quietly optimized to be forgotten, because a forgotten subscription is a subscription that keeps getting paid. It's worth naming a few specific patterns because they show up in almost everyone's statement. There's the free trial that quietly becomes real money pattern, where the sign-up takes 10 seconds and the cancellation requires finding a specific link buried in a settings menu nobody visits twice. There's the "I forgot which app this even is" pattern, a charge with a vague company name that could be 3 or 4 different services, so nobody bothers investigating. And there's the "I don't need this anymore, but canceling feels like a hassle" pattern, which is the quietest one of all, because the person actually knows the subscription is there, they've just never gotten around to the 2-minute task of ending it. None of these require a villain. They just require friction, and friction alone is enough to keep money flowing for years. And unlike coffee, which at least gives you something you consciously enjoy every single time, half of an unaudited subscription list is stuff you're not even using anymore. Nobody savors a streaming service they haven't opened in 4 months. Nobody feels good about the app subscription for the workout plan they did twice. So here's the actual fix, and it takes about 10 minutes, not 40 years of coffee abstinence. Pull up your last 2 bank or card statements. Actually read every single line, not skim it. For each recurring charge, ask one question: did I use this in the last 30 days? If the honest answer is no, cancel it right now, not later, right now, while you're already looking at it. Do that once, and for most people, the number that falls out the other side is bigger than an entire year of coffee. Let's put a real number on that for Nate specifically. Say his audit turns up $60 a month in subscriptions he genuinely isn't using. Canceled and redirected into a simple index fund at 8%, that $60 a month becomes roughly $200,000 over 30 years. Read that again. A 10-minute audit, done once, on money he was already losing without noticing, is worth more over time than never buying another coffee for the rest of his life. The framework people keep repeating has the math backwards. One audit isn't a permanent fix on its own, though, because the whole reason this leak exists is that new subscriptions keep quietly entering the picture. A new streaming service launches, a free trial gets started for a specific show and never gets canceled after. A coworker recommends an app with a monthly fee attached. The fix that actually holds isn't a one-time cleanup, it's turning the 10-minute audit into a recurring habit, something you do once a quarter instead of once ever. Put it on the calendar, the same way you'd schedule anything else that tends to get forgotten. Because the entire reason this money disappears in the first place is that nothing naturally reminds you to check. So here's where we land. Coffee was never the real problem. It just made an easy target, because it's visible and repeated and easy to point a finger at. The genuinely larger leak has been sitting quietly in your statement the whole time, specifically because it was designed to be forgotten. I can already hear one objection here, and it's fair, but I actually use most of my subscriptions. This doesn't apply to me. That's genuinely possible, and if it's true for you, this video isn't really about you, it's about the specific charges nobody's checked in months, not the ones you deliberately keep. The whole point of the 10-minute audit is that it tells you the difference instead of guessing. Some subscriptions absolutely earn their spot. The problem was never having any, it's having ones nobody's actually looked at in a year. Nate did the 10-minute audit, found 4 subscriptions he hadn't used in months, canceled all 4, freed up $60 a month he didn't know he was losing, and kept his coffee, guilt-free, because it was never the actual issue. Skip the guilt over $5 a day. Go find the 60 you didn't know was gone. If this helped, hit like, subscribe, and tell me in the comments, what subscription did you forget you were even paying for? I'll see you in the next one.